Hare Krishna, we continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 19. Ya enam veti hantaram, yaschainam manyate hatam, ubhautam na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it is slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as will be evident from subsequent verses. So when somebody is hurt, when somebody is, pierced by a knife and he dies. So what is it that dies is the body, not the soul. The soul continues to live. The soul is eternal. It cannot be killed. So does it mean that, we go around killing people, or anyway, it's just a body? No, we can't do that. Each person has their own karmic cycle that they are supposed to be in a particular body for X amount of time. And we should not disturb that karmic cycle of others. So, nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. So, nothing spiritual can be killed. It's eternal. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is the body only. So, our consciousness, is it that after we give up this body, our consciousness will be killed, will not exist anymore? No, it continues to exist. We are individual souls. We continue to live eternally, just in different bodies. Depends either in a material body or a spiritual body. So once we get a spiritual body, then that body cannot be killed. Then we don't need to give up that body because it is spiritual. How do we get that spiritual body? Chant Hare Krishna, hear from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is Ma himsayat sarva bhutani. Never commit violence to anyone. Nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. So it doesn't mean that, we think, anyway, I can kill the animals. We can eat them. They're anyway not the body. They are the soul. They'll get another body. No, we can't do that. We are disturbing the karmic cycle. It is punishable by law. Killing the body of anyone by law of karma, killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. So we are thinking, poor animals, they can't speak, so we can kill them. And then we can supply the meat in the supermarkets. But they were killed, and that's the reason the meat is in the supermarket. Somebody will say, no, I didn't kill. I just went to the supermarket. But the animal was killed, and that is punishable by the law of God, by the law of karma. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. So Arjuna has been asked to kill by Krishna, but this war is a religious war. Those people who are going to be killed are aggressors. They have done many bad things. They are continuing to torment and harm others, and so they need to be killed. So text 20, na jayate mriyate va kadachin, nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya, ajo nitya shasvato yam purano, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So here Krishna is speaking to us about the soul. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. It's not that at one point of time the soul didn't exist and suddenly he's made. No, it's eternal. It's eternal. And when we leave this body, when we leave this body, it's not that we are going to be dead. No, we will get another body depending on our desire and our karma. And we have always existed. We will continue to exist. Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. What does it mean? Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. It's qualitatively. It's qualitative. Krishna is Sachidanand, we are Sachidanand. Like a drop of ocean water has the same composition of, it has salt, right? If we do the chemical composition, and compared to the salt in the ocean, that salt will also have the same composition, but the quantity is totally different. The quantity of salt in a drop of water is very minute, and the quantity of salt in the ocean is, wow, so much. Can't compare it to a drop. Similarly, we are infinitesimal, we are tiny. We read yesterday, we are 1/10,000, the tip of a hair. That's our size. And whereas what's Krishna's size? He's unlimited. So although our quality is the same, the sheer size of it, of Krishna and us, is totally different. Okay, and then the soul, what happens? He undergoes no changes like the body. The soul doesn't change. It's the body that's keeping on changing. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. Now, what are the 6 kinds of transformations? It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body. Okay, the body is born. Then it remains for some time. Then it grows, produces some effects, means we'll have some children or something, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. So all these are the soul. All this is the body. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. So we, the soul, we are eternal. We don't change. We don't grow old. No. Okay. The soul does not take birth, then soul does not die. Okay. Anything which has birth also has death. And because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. So we know something that is, we manufacture something has expiry date. And that's why a child is born, a newborn child. And we'll say, oh, how 1 day old, 2 day old. A child was just born, but we already start counting 1 day old, already become old. So that is the material world. But the soul has no expiry date. No expiry date. Why? Because it has no birth date, actually. That is the soul. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. But because in our limited mind, we always have in the material world, all our experiences, oh, how can we know birth date? How can it always exist? Because in material world, everything has a beginning and everything has an end. So we are not able to understand this point, but that's the spiritual. That's the spiritual part. So that is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc., of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old as the body does. The so-called old man, therefore, feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. So we see, we are getting old, but we feel, no, we are still young. We're still young. We are not old. But that's because the soul is ever fresh, never grows old. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree or nor anything material. So we see how things decay here in the material world. You know, when they are fresh, they are new, then they look very nice, pretty, fresh. Then after some time, we see, oh, it's beginning to age a little, but it still looks pretty. Then soon it begins to fade. And then one day it's like broken. But that doesn't happen to the soul. Soul does not deteriorate. The soul has no byproduct either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls. And owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. So we get so attached to our family, our parents, our children, our siblings, but they are just connected. The soul has no children. We all belong to Krishna. This is just the body. It's the body. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. So it's not that our children are born because they're coming from the soul. No, it's coming from the body, and another soul is put into that body. And that soul is also has an eternal relationship with Krishna. So therefore, the soul is free from the 6 exchanges of the body. So the soul does not change. It does not have any byproducts. Soul does not have any children. Soul is not going to deteriorate, become old. In the Katha-Upanishad 1.2.18, we also find a similar passage which reads, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschin, nayam kutaschin, na bhuva kaschin, ajo nitya shasvato yam purano, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It's a long verse. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in the Bhagavad Gita, but here in this verse, there is one special word, vipaschit, which means learned or with knowledge. The soul is full of knowledge and full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. So the soul is full of knowledge. Chit, no? Vipaschit. So the chit, it's full of knowledge and full with consciousness. This body does not have consciousness, but the soul is conscious. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. So it's because of this consciousness that that is a symptom of the soul. And what we are thinking that the body is conscious, but it's not the body that's conscious. The consciousness is coming from the soul. That's the reason when somebody passes away, we say, oh, he left or she left. Oh, but the body is still lying here. Why we are saying he left or she left? The body is still lying. So we know that who was it that left? Was the soul that left, not the body. The body is there still. So we'll stop here for today. We'll continue reading tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining in. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.